Hello, I'm David Bosek, and this is part 3, the Van Allen radiation belts, of my continuing series on the moon hoax on my political news magazine channels on YouTube and Rumble. Please note, I am David T. Bosek, and I do not use AI in the creation of any of these videos. Please also note that most of the information I cite in this video comes from the V.A.R.B book. There is also a little bit coming from the casing book early in this video. Please also note that I do talk about some of my own theories within the moon hoax theories in each and every video. I do have some of my own opinions on all of this that goes into basically usually every video. So here we go with today's video. One thing I'm going to talk about that Bill Casing talked about on page 172 of his book from 1976 was Murphy's Law. You may have heard of it. It's a concept that basically states things go wrong all the time, and they go wrong when you don't need them. Errors happen, mistakes happen. And that's one of the reasons that Bill believes we never got through the Van Allen radiation belts, or V.A.R.B. I'm going to refer to them as V.A.R.B. for time constraints in this video. He believed that we never got through them. He's very doubtful on that issue. Remember, temperatures on the moon are in the extreme. They're negative 270 to plus 270 if you average it out. It is insane. Very, very hot and very, very cold. He believed the spacesuits were too thin for the surface of the moon and to get through Van Allen. Remember, they were made by Playtex. It's a massive red flag. There's cosmic and solar radiation in V.A.R.B. In the early 50s, the Russian scientists proved the moon's surface was lethal to humans, meaning the Soviet Union was actually very afraid of landing people on the moon. Then how did we get through V.A.R.B? In my opinion, and his, we didn't. It's a massive red flag. In my opinion, it's the second biggest red flag in the entire hoax. There's massive amounts of radiation in V.A.R.B according to Weaver on page 81 of his book. It keeps us protected from the sun's radiation, or we would disintegrate as a planet. I believe there's actually 3 radiation belts within V.A.R.B if you average it out. It's a lot more intense based on flares and energy than what NASA will tell you. James Van Allen, who they were named after, claims they were 64,000 miles from Earth. NASA claims they were only 24,000 miles out, which in my opinion makes their argument of the moon landing even weaker. No astro ever got cancer that went through V.A.R.B, and there's many astros that supposedly went through them. A massive red flag. In '69, it was the peak of the 11-year solar flare cycle, which is a mess, very, very unpredictable. Then how did we get through them? In my opinion, we didn't. James Van Allen wrote of the danger of them in Scientific American in March of 1959. He believed the radiation was too strong and was always skeptical of a moon landing. NASA claims the Astros only spent 2 hours in them at any one time. A major red flag. In radiation belts that span tens of thousands of miles in outer space, it's hard to believe. NASA also lied about their own radiation numbers, which is on page 87. In fact, you can go on their websites and see the numbers. It's a bunch of lies, in my opinion. The LM was made of aluminum, steel, and plastic, which absorbs radiation. Meaning, in my opinion, you would be fried chicken up there. There is no way that they got through these in that type of a spaceship, in my opinion. Independent studies prove the radiation level was a lot higher. That's also in Weaver's book. Scientists have independently researched this. There's tons of evidence and data that the radiation is very concentrated with cosmic rays way below V.A.R.B, which is a big yellow flag that we never went through V.A.R.B and never went to the moon. NASA's numbers on Apollo 7 and 8 radiation exposure have to be wrong according to page 88. NASA claims the numbers are the same for Apollo 7, which was in low Earth orbit, and Apollo 8, which supposedly orbited the moon. This simply doesn't add up. The numbers would have to be a lot different. Why did Project Orion still view V.A.R.B as an issue? It implies Apollo 11 was faked. That's in fairly recent times. Apollo 11 supposedly went through the worst of V.A.R.B. But the NASA press kits and flight transcripts of Apollo 8 don't even talk about this. This is all covered by Weaver in page 96 and somewhere around page 90 to 100 of his book. NASA continues to put out misinformation about V.A.R.B. as late as 2005 through 14. There's no mention of V.A.R.B. on the voice transcripts for Apollo 8. None of this adds up. Don't you think if you went through them, you would be talking about them within the spaceship? NASA may have lied about James Van Allen's conclusion on V.A.R.B. Apollo 8 was supposedly the first going through V.A.R.B., meaning NASA claimed they knew more about them than he did, which simply is crazy and condescending. Apollo 8, once again, supposedly was the first that got through them. Another massive red flag. Bart Sibrel, who's a famous moon hoax researcher, interviewed Astro Alan Bean of Apollo 12. It's on moonmovie.com in page 102 of Weaver's book. According to Sibrel, Bean, or the late Alan Bean, knew nothing about V.A.R.B., the moon, or the stars, or outer space for that matter. It is laughable. He was largely ignorant of outer space, but he supposedly was one of the last guys walking around on the moon. It simply doesn't add up. It has to be a fraud. In my opinion, the entire Apollo project was faked. NASA goes contra to itself on radiation issues in its own reports, which in my opinion is one of the biggest red flags of the hoax, which is rarely talked about. People back then didn't have the know-how, the internet, or the education that people have now. So they blindly believed the government on these highly sensitive issues. They essentially got bamboozled by NASA. Okay, on to other things. My next video is going to be on Mary Bennett's paper, which basically proves that the entire Apollo program was faked. I'm also going to talk about other high-end fakery within NASA and the Apollo program in the next video. Okay, on to some other things. I'm David Bosak. I do not use AI in any of these videos. If you want any information about me or my political career, you can Google my name. I also have a political blog and a blog that reviews movies and books on Goodreads.com. Also on there, I have a biography about me. That's the best biography about me on the internet, in my opinion. It's on Goodreads. I also have 6x accounts on various public issues that are all over the internet. So if you want my opinions, you can get them by researching me online. Okay, thanks a lot for your time. Till the next video, it's free to subscribe.